From the snow-capped mountains of the west to the cypress swamps of the south and everywhere in between, this is the Southern Flight Podcast. I'm your host, Robbie Nelson. You are listening to the Southern Flight Podcast. I'm Robbie Nelson, and today's guest is Mr. James Weeks with Reelin' Time Fishing Charters here on Clarks Hill in the great state of Georgia. I have been following James for the last few years, or really following his business page, the Reelin' Time Fishing Charters page, for the last few years, and I have noticed it doesn't matter if it's raining, if it's cold, if it's hot, whatever time of the year, there's some crappie being put in your boat. I have just watched it and watched it and watched it. So I had to reach out to you. Hunting season's over with. Most guys like me that are weekend warrior fishermen, by the time you start putting the deer rifles up and the shotguns up and all that, the fishing poles come out. And so this next couple months here is kind of when a lot of people think about fishing. I know that you fish year round. I've seen it. I will let you talk a lot more about that, but I wanted to have you on today to tell people, or I guess just to talk crappie fishing.
Yes, sir.
And we'll talk a little bit about stripers too, but mostly crappie just because I know that's a lot about what you do. So maybe we'll just get started with, if you'll just tell the folks a little bit about your fishing background, how long you've been fishing the lake. Again, guys, this is Clarks Hill Lake here in Georgia. For anybody listening to this that's not here, but I'm sure a lot of what we'll talk about today would probably translate to your body of water that you fish or could. Just let's talk a little bit about that.
So I grew up in a house with a granddaddy that did nothing but crappie fish. That was his thing, or shell crackers, but crappie was primarily what he wanted to do. Honest to God, I used to hate it because it's boring. I wanted to chase bass or stripers or anything that had a tug. But I learned a lot from him. I listened, I watched what he done, and we used to come to Clarks Hill and Lake Sinclair in the summer and fish when I was a teenager. But then we come back around here about 20 years ago, me and the wife, and we made home here, and we started fishing the lake, getting better and better at it. And I turned it into a business. But it's you got to learn how to chase them. And I learned a lot of that with my granddad because a lot of people think them fish don't go shallow, and we catch fish in 2 and 3 foot of water when nobody's there. So I learned that from my granddaddy. We used to catch them up real shallow all times of the year. So it's kind of my background. And then, I've grown up bass fishing and other kinds of fishing. I mean, I've been to Alaska fishing. I've been all over Florida and the East Coast catching fish. So we understand what a fish does most of the time, but end of the day, you can't make them bite. I had a pretty tough day today and a pretty tough day yesterday. I think it's that daggum moon out there. Yeah.
That big moon getting you?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Other people on the lake seem to be catching fish, but maybe they're in the right spot. But all the fish I'm on and seeing, we couldn't get them to turn it on today.
So you're saying you're literally seeing the fish, I'm assuming, on live scope.
Oh, yeah, sonar, all that. We got all the good attachments to look at them. And
so they're there, but some days even a guy like you can't.
Yeah, it'll make you want to throw your poles in the water and go home, I promise you, especially when you're sitting there with customers on the boat.
I bet. It seems like you get them more often than not, though, and it is called fishing, not catching.
Well, my job's to put you on fish, and I got to. I mean, I don't fish dead water, so that mean if we ain't seeing fish, we got to go. And then sometimes you can pick up and go to another creek, and it turn on for you. You never know. Like today, we pick up and go to a creek, and we'd catch like 10, and they just shut off on me. And I said, all right, let's go to the next creek. Boom, we'd go over there and see fish everywhere, and we get to going and catch 8 or 10, and they just stop. And I had some clients today that's been with me 20, 25 times, and we have leveled coolers almost every time they come, and they're like, James ain't biting, let's go. So they got a lot of faith in me. A lot of my customers do, because it's a lot of repeat people.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it doesn't seem like you are ever on there advertising too many openings anyway.
No, I got too many openings, man. I mean, a lot of people trust me, and most of these people that fish with me have come with me time and time again. It's really hard to get new clients on the boat because we book up so fast.
Right.
Yeah.
So this time of the year, I'm assuming, and again, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming fish are staging up, getting ready to spawn or ready
So
for the spawn.
you're kind of you're at the pre-spawn right now. What I would say, I've seen some females this week that look like they're ready to pop eggs, but we've had such a cold winter.
Yes, sir.
We just had snow. What, a month ago?
Yeah.
It wasn't very long ago. The water temperature was 38 degrees. That's probably been 3 to 4 weeks ago, and I don't think them fish is going to spawn on this full moon. They might be a few, fish will fool you. But I've been all the way to 1 foot of water yesterday, and I didn't see no spawning fish. But this next coming full moon, it's going to be rocking and rolling. But yeah, they're in the pre-spawn stage. I haven't seen any black males come up, which when they're black like that, their testosterone's pumped up and they're guarding the eggs. And
okay.
And I haven't caught no blacks yet. And that usually tells you the spawn's in effect.
No kidding. So you're saying when you catch them and they have that real rich black color to them.
Yeah, see, the females will still be whatever the watercolors dyed them. Like right now, if it's stained water, that crappie's going to come out almost as white as your paper. But that male, if he's active, spawning and fanning beds, he's going to be jet black.
How about that?
Yep.
Well, I learned something new there. I mean, I've definitely caught them when they were that color before, but I didn't really.
You caught spawning fish.
That makes sense. Fish a couple of big ponds that are really, really big. I mean, it's obviously nothing like Clark's Hill, but it always seems like they're typically pretty shallow. Come to think of it, when you catch them and they're that color, they're up shallow. So you said that you doubt a bunch of them will spawn on this full moon. Based on past history, is this full moon right here at around the end of February, early March, typically when you'd see a bunch of them spawn?
I have seen. Clark's Hill's a weird lake because a lot of times you will see like the north end of the lake spawn first because that's the shallower end of the lake.
Yep,
water warms up a little bit quicker up there. So like last year, this time in March, we was catching spawning fish back in 3 to 4 foot of water. We was catching 70, 80 a day. And you can tell when you're in there catching them, they'll be right up on the bank and we're catching them. And all of a sudden it'll be about 3 or 4 days worth of it. They'll just be gone. And then you got to go to another creek, down south of you. And that's the deeper part of the lake and the water's a little cooler because I have caught spawning fish in Clark's Hill last year in May.
Was kidding.
Pumping out eggs.
No kidding.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. Them deep water fish is a little different than the shallow water fish. Because Clark's Hill is a monster.
It is.
It is a monster body of water. And you literally got crappie all over that lake.
So there's not necessarily, I'm sure just like anything else, there's probably some places where it's more of a hot spot, but you're saying from like Lake Russell Dam to Clark's Hill Dam to up past Amity on the Little River side, you can catch them everywhere.
They're everywhere.
So
you can go to Keg Creek, in the back of Keg Creek, and you can catch them. You can go to the other side to over there around the Camel Humps and go in that big creek there, and you'll see them under docks in the summer. You could go right on up to Hamilton Branch. You can go right on up to Parksville, and they'll be in all them coves, and if you know where to find them.
Right.
And I've seen them literally up there, schools 40, 50 foot long and be 10 foot thick, sitting on trees.
No kidding.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, they'll be there for a few days, and then they'll move to another place, and you got to go hunt them down.
Wow. So that's where the time on the water can't be replaced.
Oh no. Yeah. It's just, years of calendars and looking at them and pictures and saying, hey, I was on this boat ramp catching them over here, and you just move around.
So you said that you'd been fishing Clark's Hill for a long time and then y'all moved up here. What'd you say, about 20 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
So you've got 30, 40 years worth of fishing knowledge, at least on the lake.
Oh, yeah.
I know back then, obviously, we didn't have the live scope, sonars weren't as good, all that kind of stuff. But has the fishing changed much over the last 40 years? And I don't mean fishing with electronics. I mean the actual fishery itself. Do you feel like the crappie are about the same, more stable? They're bigger, they're less?
I'd say we got just as much crappie as we had back then. There may be places there's less crappie, but back then there wasn't all the technology. There wasn't trolling motors that we got now, and people corked fish with minnows. It wasn't you used to, the old timers. You didn't see no jigs in their boat. We was all out there with cane poles and corks fishing.
Right.
You know, everybody uses a slip bobber or something in that neighborhood. Now everybody's trolling and pushing, and now you got live scopes. There's a lot has changed, but a lake as big as Clarks Hill, you can't catch all the crappie.
Yeah, I mean, well,
There is no way. I see crappie. I've seen schools of crappie this year, and I can show you pictures. The schools are 100 foot long and 15 foot thick.
no kidding.
Oh yeah, it's insane, and they're out there over deep water just trying to survive the winter, and it'll blow your mind how many's there. And that ain't just one creek; that's in a lot of them.
You know, I don't know if it's an old wives' tale or not, but I've always heard don't ever put crappie in a pond that you don't want them to take over.
Yeah, I heard that too. And they will, because you know there's lakes in North Carolina that's happened to. I've read about them, and there's one lake up there right now that don't have any limits on it. They kept putting a 10 fish and 15 fish limit on it, and it's black crappie, and they overpopulated it. And the biggest fish they could catch was about 10 inches. So
Yeah.
And now the biologists got together, and you can go up there to that lake right now and put 200 in the boat, and nobody say nothing to you.
So I know that it varies day to day, probably different times of the year and all that. But what would you say like an average size of a crappie is in Clarks Hill nowadays?
He's probably looking at most average fish in that lake. It's going to be around a pound and a quarter. That's average, because large fish in the lake still, you know, are in the 2 pound range. And then what I start calling a real true slab, or, you know, a giant crappie, is 2.5 pounds or better, you know, because as many of them as there are, there's a lot of 3 pound fish in the lake. You don't run across them fish that often, not unless you're out in 60, 70 foot of water where them big fish roam. Them big fish get a little strange. They don't group up in big groups like pound fish and pound and a half fish.
It's kind of like, and I know you striper fish or have striper fish and also guide for them as well. And we'll talk about that in a little bit, but you kind of notice that with stripers too. It seems like you'll see like maybe a 1 or 2 or maybe a 3-pack. You're looking at the live scope or something, you'll just see a few big fish kind of roaming around by themselves. They at least from what I've seen, they tend not to get in those big schools. From
what I can tell with big stripes and big crappie, they're kind of like big deer. They don't like to bunch up. They like to be in 1s and 2s, and that's going to be about it. Now, you know, like I've been on trees out there in the river channel, and you'll be on, you know, 2.5, 3 pound crappie. They might be 10 there. There won't be 100 of them.
Right.
That's the thing you have to realize. Now, you can get on a tree, and I've seen it, and there'll be 80 to 100, 200 big 2 pound crappie there.
Right.
But those fish is a little weird. They don't just go to eating. Now, them pound fish, when you're on them and they want to eat, they'll eat. But it's like almost like some of them big fish are educated some days.
Right. Well, I mean,
you just don't go to blistering them.
Especially nowadays with live scope and with all the technology. I mean, they're probably getting thumped upside the head with a crappie jig.
Right now, everybody's out there fishing for them because it's the spring catch, and everybody wants to be there to spawn.
Right.
You know, I know we're still in the winter, but I call it spring fishing because it's time. You know.
Right. So this time of the year, and I know this year's a little bit different, just based on what you said, that you think the spawn's going to be a moon behind, basically.
Yeah.
So would it be fair to say you would consider this like the pre-spawn time?
Oh, it's definitely pre-spawn.
So pre-spawn time fishing this time of the year, at least at Clarks Hill Lake, if a man wanted to go catch a fish and try to put himself in the best situation, what kind of fishing should he be doing?
Well, you know, a lot of people's converting to live scope and running them down, and that way, that's, you know, if you got the money and that's something you want to do, by all means, it works if you learn how to do it. But if a guy wants to just go out there and catch a mess of crappie, I would say get me some trolling rods and a decent trolling motor. And honestly, and people do it all the time, look for the boats. If you see boats catching fish, get out there beside them and learn how to troll. And a lot of crappie fishermen on the lake are cool as hell. I love most of them. They will tell you what jig color they running. They'll tell you what speed. Everybody's real cordial. We'll be fishing around, you know, other people, and everybody's good as gold.
Right.
I mean, crappie fishermen are like a big family out there. You know, we usually don't have too many problems. You can be in creeks trolling around one another, and it's tight, and everybody moves out of the way and talks. I mean, so I would just tell you, if you want to catch a box crappie in Clarks Hill, and right now, you really need to be trolling for them and pulling jigs and learn how to do that. It's a lot of fun until you get them on a 12 or 14 foot pole.
Right. So when you're doing that this time of the year, are you kind of keying in on like, I guess back in the creeks? I guess what I'm trying to figure out, if they're not spawning yet, they're probably not right up on the bank.
So that's kind of a loaded question with crappie. So what you have to think about, like, and I'll just give you a perfect example. 2 weeks ago, I was in the back of creeks and 44-degree water temperature, catching them in 4 to 6 foot of water.
No kidding.
Yeah. And it seems like now they've moved back out in basically a wintertime pattern. Now they're back out there in 20 foot of water, 25 foot of water. So I would tell you to start in about 30, 35 foot. Start looking around with your electronics. You can do it with conventional sonar or down scan. Just kind of go through there. And if you're not seeing bait, you're not seeing marks, don't fish. Don't never fish dead water. That's the wrong thing to do. And if you go in there and you start seeing some bait, and you start seeing some fish with it, just stop and fish it. But man, that's one thing I tell people: don't ever put crappie in a box, because you don't know where they're gonna go, and they will move on you. They will move in a heartbeat. They can be right down one bank today, and you go in there the next day, and they're gone.
So more time scouting, less time fishing.
I keep my poles in the boat till I see fish. I don't run out there and throw my poles out and go fishing. I run out there and throw my electronics in the water and go to looking.
Go to looking before you do anything.
Yeah, I'll pull in a place and I want to see X amount of targets to chase. You know.
Right. I mean, it makes sense. I could take some advice, take some of that on advice for myself, because I'm bad about. Well, I've caught them here in the past. Let's start fishing. How many people do that? I mean, you know, a lot of them do.
Yeah, and bless their hearts, a lot of people don't know, or, you know, I see guys out there don't got no electronics, so they got to fish old school. They got to throw it out and go to trolling.
Right.
But me, I got people on the boat.
Yeah, you got paying customers.
They're spending their hard-earned money to be with me, and they depend on me to know. So I always put my electronics in water, and I go, look, because if you're fishing dead water, you're not going to catch a fish no way.
You're right.
You could spend 30 minutes to an hour looking, and it pay off big time, or you could spend 4 hours in the wrong spot and it not pay off at all.
Yeah, I need to take some of that advice myself.
Oh yeah, and I'm huge on. I'm kind of really impatient. So if I fish about an hour somewhere and we ain't doing what I think we're going to be doing, we got to go.
Time to go.
Yeah, it's time to go.
Well, that's more like catching, less like fishing. I like it.
Yeah, I like catching. That whole fishing I done today, I didn't like at all. I mean, I was about to stroke out today. So but no guide's immune to it. If any guide says they catch a box of fish every single day that they're impressed with, and they're a liar.
Right.
Because I know some of the best guides on that water out there's been there 50 years catching stripers, and they'll call you up and say, hey, man, I got my butt kicked today. And we're right there with them. It happens on crappie, and crappie are really a temperamental fish. A cloud go over, it changes them. The wind blow the wrong direction, it changes them. So crappie's a pretty tough animal to chase.
One thing that always kind of befuddles me when it comes to crappie is you go look at grubs, right? You go to Cabela's or go to name your favorite store.
That's right.
And you go down and walk down the crappie aisle, what I would call the panfish aisle.
That's right.
And you look up on that wall, brother, and there are 400 different colors and combinations, and a paddle tail or a curly tail or a little swim bait. And some of them are pink with a blue tail, and some of them are this. I'm always just like, holy hell. It's like trying to figure out where to start. You know?
I'm going to tell you something that somebody told me, and it's been 4 or 5 years ago, and I laughed, and it's probably pretty accurate. They say most of that's there to catch the fishermen.
Yeah.
I'd say most of that there to get in your wallet. I mean, yeah, we got some products at work, and I know everybody makes a good bait, but I'll be honest with you, I think a lot of it's there to get in your wallet.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're probably right, but I bet we as fishermen probably overthink it more than we do anything.
Yeah, I've been around folks, man. They'll run a jig head of every different color. I'm not that guy. I run a straight lead head and then match the body to the watercolor I'm looking at, or the style I think they want, like a low profile or a big profile bait. And that's how I fish. That's too much thinking for James. If I need a red jig head today or a yellow one or a pink one, or I just run straight jig heads. And then I do run some with little spinners on there.
Right.
Like if the water's real muddy, like a brown mud water, and it looks kind of like cocoa or chocolate milk.
Kind of like you get up around
like a
Amity.
Yoo-hoo bottle. Yeah, like a Yoo-hoo bottle. I got some spinners, underspin I run on there, and them crappie can't stand it. They'll knock the fire out of it.
But you need that stained water for that?
Yeah, I don't fish too much clear water for crappie because them fish are usually grumpy and they don't like the boat no way. They'll get out of the way.
Really?
Oh yeah, any of that water them fish can see. Crappie got huge eyeballs. Look at him.
Oh, yeah.
That joker can see. And he'll see the boat coming. You watch them on live scope, you get 20, 30 foot from them, they'll all dive to the bottom or get out of the way.
So let me make sure I understand that right. You said you would prefer to fish stained water for crappie.
I would prefer it to be like a yoo-hoo.
No kidding.
Yes, sir.
So when a lot of people are like, oh, the lake's washed out right now because it's, we had a big rain.
I start smiling.
Really?
Because one thing's going to happen in that muddy water, that water's going to heat up.
I didn't think about that yet.
So if that water out there in 30 foot of water is 55 degrees, when you get to the back of the creek, it's 62, 63. What you think them fish going to do?
They're going to that warmer water.
Just like me and you do. They want to go to the fire.
That's right.
But now there's a couple things in Clarksville that prevents that. Like, and most of us guys that know it, there's some red mud comes down them creeks. And I don't know what's in that red clay, but them crappie don't like it.
Really?
They'll run them out of there. It's some kind of pH level or acid, or I'd like to get a biologist up there and just pull water samples because it'll run every one of them fish out of that creek.
Really?
And it'll run them out there for 3 or 4 or 5 days so that orange drops out of that water. You'll see it.
So if it turns real orange, no bueno.
Oh, yeah, you got to go.
No
yeah.
good.
I can tell you this. It's been a couple of years ago, but we was trolling up Georgia Little River, and they had just put a bunch of clear cuts in. They'd cut a pile of timber up there, and it was just bare dirt. And every time it'd come a little old just drizzle of rain, the whole river turned orange. And you could go, I would run my boat till I seen orange water and turn right back around, and where the orange and brown was mixing, I'd burn them crappie up.
Really?
Because it'd push every one of them crappie out of that creek.
Really?
Yeah, it's I don't know what a clay does, but them fish don't like it. It's got to be something with the fresh water or the pH. I ain't quite sure.
So for the next month or so, they're probably, I've been listening pretty intently to what you said. I know you said you caught some up real shallow lately, and then they were back out in 20 foot of water. But generally, over the next month, as it warms up and as you get closer to that next full moon, they ought to start moving up shallower to spawn, right?
Yeah, they're gonna go to the bank, and they're gonna go right up on the bank. And right now, the water is so low in Clarks Hill, they ain't got nowhere to go. So they're kind of going to be trapped. We should be doing pretty good on them most of the time because they can't get away from us.
Right.
See, in years past, they can get up in the willow trees. They can get up any little bush up shallow in a foot of water. We can't get to them. And there's acres and acres of that stuff out there. But right now,
yeah, with the lake being down, what is it, like 324, 325?
I think it's 323.5 yesterday.
Okay, so it's not.
It's 6.5 foot low yesterday. I don't know what it is today. I have not looked.
It ain't gonna be much different. It's gonna be somewhere right around there. So once they move up on the bank and they spawn out, all right. So now that's done with. Where are they going next? Are they heading straight out way deep, getting on brush, or
what I've noticed is them big females, they'll go through a 3 or 4 day adjustment period because I guess it kind of traumatized them a little bit. You'll catch a bunch of bucks, males, and you'll notice the big females will be there, and all of a sudden they're gone. And then you'll see them hand size or a little bit bigger crappie, which is the males, a lot of males. And once they come off that bank, they going to go to either brush piles or they going to get out there in them flats where them bait's at. And you can still catch them. You still catch them trolling. But they going to where that bait's at then because they're hungry.
So I know that the largemouth bass, spotted bass, striped bass, most of those bass species are following around those herring in the lake most of the year.
Yeah.
Those crappie, what's their bait of choice? Or when I say bait of choice, what is their preferred food source in our lake?
They'll eat a herring, that's for sure, because we've caught them on herring. But they chase threadfin a lot in those glass minnows in that lake. You can be running out there in the morning and you see those glass minnows and those threadfin on the water. Them crappies there somewhere.
Okay. So that's kind of like, I understand they eat all kinds of, they're opportunistic. I know that, but that's kind of what they're really keying in.
Yeah.
on.
A lot of threadfin, like if you're finding threadfin shad, schools of them crappies there with them or close by. Cause that's, a lot of them crappie we fillet out, they got threadfin in their belly, a lot of it.
So what do you think? I know you see a lot of fishermen on the water. What you told me before, you fish like roughly 300 days a year on the water, at least 300 days a year. So I know you have to see all kinds of stuff out there as far as people fishing and whatnot. What do you think is one of the biggest mistakes people make crappie fishing when they're trying to catch crappie?
The biggest mistake everybody makes is thinking they know what a crappie does.
Okay.
They have, and a lot of them, it ain't their fault. They've heard it old school, like, crappie go out in the deep in the summer. Nah, that ain't the case. You need to go look shallow sometimes. Don't put crappie in a box. They'll fool you because they go on where that bait goes. If that bait goes deep and goes out there, which usually in the summer there's thermocline. So if thermocline's 15 foot, there ain't no fish under that. So them fish is going to be in 15 foot or less. And that's what I call it, thermocline fishing. I don't know what anybody else calls it. But when I go to the boat ramp in the morning, I see a 10-foot thermocline, I'm going to slap to the back of the creek to look for crappie.
Really?
Yeah. I'm going.
Even if it's July?
I don't care if it's August or September. I'm going to the back of the creek. I have been in 6 and 7 foot of water catching 100 a day in the water 90 degrees.
No kidding.
Yep. But the bait's back there.
But again, that thermocline is, that's like where your oxygen is going to be depleted below that, right?
Yep. So and I know it maybe not apply to all lakes because you can't take this, for instance, like say a lake in Florida that's average 10 foot deep.
Right.
The whole lake's probably the same temperature, right? But you're dealing with Clark's Hill, where when I start out, like say if I put in an Amity in the morning, that water's 50 foot deep, right there at the boat ramp.
Right.
Well, the back of the creek is 10 foot deep.
Right.
Well, if you take a hot cup of coffee and you set it down here at 90 degrees, the whole cup, and I take another cup of coffee and put 1 inch of coffee, which is going to cool off faster.
The 1 inch coffee is going to cool off faster.
Exactly. So where's the cool water going to be in the summer?
Okay.
Pretty simple.
Yeah.
Well, them damn fish know that. The bait knows that, man. I have been back there in 10 foot of water, and there'll be bait and crappie everywhere.
I would have never guessed that. I always figured, once they kind of come off the bank, and I guess like you said, it's what everybody's been told. Just listen to. All right, well, they spawned out. It's starting to, it's April or May now, and it's all the fish are going to be out on brush piles in 30 foot of water. Yeah, that's just kind of what and there may be some.
They may be some, and they may, like Georgia Little River is notorious for it, and I call it community trees. You'll see everybody out there in the summer fishing them big, tall trees in that 40, 50 foot of water. Well, them fish is right there on the verge of that thermocline. They're lethargic. They ain't going to bite. Them jokers are doing all they can to survive. They just know that's where they want to be. But you go up there, I'll give you a perfect example. I was in Fishing Creek this year fishing 8 foot of water, catching 100 a day. Not a boat to be seen.
How about that?
You pull in there and the whole bottom's covered with crappie.
Whole bottom.
Whole bottom.
Now, when they're doing that time of the year, let's say you do find them in the back of a creek like that or up shallow like that, are they relating the brush that's there? Or
yeah, a lot of times it'd be like blowdowns on the bank.
Right.
Or where we've put brush piles in that we know where we want them to be at what time of year. I got one of my favorite ones to fish is in 13 foot of water. And it's probably 60 foot long of brush we laid in there.
Right.
And the brush is probably 2 foot off the bottom. But when you go in there, the brush looks like it's 8 foot off the bottom. Not so many crappie will be there.
Really?
Yeah. And they'll be there for a month or so, and you'll pull in there one day and they're gone.
How about that?
They'll just pull out there. They just, whatever reason, the water temperature got where they didn't like it, or they got hungry and decided to go to another creek. But yeah, you'd be surprised where we catch them at in the summer.
That's pretty wild. Do your tactics change as far as are you always using artificials, or do you ever use live?
No, I only use artificials to troll with, or when we're out casting, I do some live scope trips once in a while. Which live scope trips is not my cup of tea. Most of the people on my boat, I carry them old school minnow fishing. We do drop minnows on a brush pile. That's what we do.
Okay.
I mean, I learned that from my granddad, and I mean, my wife's fished like that with me growing up. My kids has fished like that. I mean, everybody's fished with a minnow. And I tell everybody when we're out there catching more minnows, and we see boys out there at LS's at the boat ramp, hey man, we can't catch a fish right now, and you catch it 80, 90 days. I said, you still throwing jigs? Well, yeah. I said, them fish ain't gonna eat them jigs right now. You gotta have a minnow. You might be able to throw a minnow at it and catch them with live scope. But good friend of mine was on the boat today. He calls it putting meat on a hook.
Putting meat on a hook.
Putting meat on a hook.
So you were fishing with live bait today?
No, I was fishing with jigs today.
I got
but
you.
When they fish go on the brush, I go to minnows.
I got you. Once they get out of this pattern here, they've spawned out, and then it's kind of like back to the summertime or post-spawn pattern.
Yeah.
you're fishing with minnows on brush.
Yeah. So I'm doing old school. I mean, we just but man, I got more minnows than most people. And so we put 2 pounds of minnows in the bait tank and we go. And we drop down on the brush with a minnow and let the crappie do their job.
Now, let me ask you this. If you pull up on a spot, let's say you pull up on a spot, all right, and you look at your live scope or whatever your choice of electronics is,
Yeah.
and you know that there's a pile of fish on that brush pile. You said that you went today and saw them and they just weren't biting that good. If you pull up and they're not biting, do you assume that, they're just not biting?
So if somebody watches this that knows me, they know what I'm going to say. They know I'm going to say 5 minutes. I give them fish 5 minutes. If they ain't hitting them minnows and they ain't eating in 5 minutes, we gone. Possibly sometimes I might give them 10. If they don't bite there, they will bite somewhere else. And I have seen them bite. Just for instance, I've been in Big Creek before and not catch a fish. Go up Georgia Little River and fill the cooler up. 2 days later, be vice versa. The bite be good in Big Creek and not good in Georgia Little River. You should never know.
Crazy.
It blow your mind sometimes. And then we got some brush piles too in the summer. I call them noontime brush piles. There ain't no point going there at noontime.
No kidding.
Oh, you go at noontime, catch 40 or 50 right quick.
I mean, that's just years of experience, though, to learn
just
that.
Knowing.
Yeah, because you feel like you in that time of the year, people are normally off the lake by then, or the bite's slowing down or dead by then. But I guess it's just depending on where you're at, it might be dead.
It might be dead. That's one of the mistakes I see a lot of people make, and they don't know, or they don't have the other brush piles to go to. They'll find a brush pile maybe we've put in, or I'll find brush piles other people's put in, but they'll sit there all day. They'll sit there the whole time. I'm on crappie. Well, you might have been on crappie, but I've watched crappie. You can sit there and be fishing for them on brook, and when they get aggravated with you, they'll all hit the bottom and they're gone.
That's it.
They're gone. Or they just got lockjaw. You might go up there and catch 10 off a brush pile. You might go up there and catch 50. But when they quit biting, you can leave because they done. And you might not be able to come back there that day and catch another one. You got to wait till tomorrow or the following day.
So when you're trolling, if you're going to troll, I'm assuming, do you have the rig where all your rods are hanging off the front?
Off the back.
So you're off the back.
I pull.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So and this is an honest question. I've been to the lake a ton of times, and you see most of the guys fishing for crappie seem like they got them all fanned out off the front of the boat.
Yeah, that's pushing guys. They spotter rigging. Yep.
So why do you prefer the other way?
I cover more water than they do.
Okay.
Now, don't get me wrong. There's some boys out there that spotter rig back in some of these tight creeks. They catch the hell out of them.
Okay.
And they know what the boys know what they're doing, and they're good at it. And I give them all the credit in the world. But if it's a tough day where them fish are scattered out, and they'll tell you it's hard on them. But me, I'm pulling. So I'm covering miles of water a day where they're only covering a couple 100 yards.
I got you.
You see what I'm saying? Because like my good buddy Brian that lives up at the lake, he's really good at pushing, and he can level coolers for you. But Brian may only stay in a area size of this room right here.
Really?
He'll catch all his fish right there. But and them fish will be stacked there for him, of course. But if them fish were scattered out, 300-400 yards down through there, it would be tougher on him. Now, he may still catch a box of fish, but he's not going to be as fast at it as I would. Where some days when they're stacked up, he's faster at it than I am.
I got you. So when you're pulling, as you call it, out the back,
yeah,
what kind of speed are you normally liking to be at?
Man, it all depends on what them fish want, man. Sometimes we get down to 0.6 and dropping the jigs down deep, or we may even put light jigs on and drop down to 0.6, 0.7, see what they want. And then today I was catching them at 1.4 miles an hour.
Oh, no kidding. I would have never thought going that fast.
I have been up as much as 1.7 catching them.
No kidding.
And I don't know, it ain't been this year, but a couple of years ago, the whole day I was running like 1.4, 1.5, pulling 148.
No kidding.
That's dragging them through the waves just about.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I would have never guessed that. I know a lot of times when I'm up there pulling for striper, because my center console is set up to where I fish out the back of the boat for striper. I'm typically like 0.7, 0.8, 0.9. If I get up over 1, it's kind of, a lot of times I'm trying to slow it back down, but that's just kind of how I was taught. when it comes to striper fishing like that, when you're out searching
Yeah.
for fish, and then if you come over a school of fish and you get that first one to bite, you just hit the spot lock, if you have a spot lock trolling motor, which I do, but hit the spot lock, and it seems like you can get one excited and on, and you can you can keep those striper excited and kind of catch them. But that's interesting. I would have never thought anything over 1 mile per hour for those crappie. So that's a good information for me.
Well, I tell you what, I was moving the other day from like one side of the creek to the other, and I was running about 1.8 miles an hour, and we actually caught one, but that ain't my normal speed to run.
Right.
I mean, that's rolling pretty good, and that fish just decided he wanted a jig.
So anywhere just from a little over a half mile an hour to a little under a mile and a half, you just got to see what they want.
Yeah, because I like I've seen them to where you go in there in the morning, like just say right now we had a 30-degree morning.
Right.
It'll slow them down for whatever reason. We'd be pulling 0.7, but with a lighter jig, and we'll be catching them. And then you look around later on in the day, and them sun guns is raised to the top of the water, getting warm. And now you got to haul butt because they on top. Or it could be vice versa. If we went in, I was in Soap Creek, almost last year, the year before. You start out in the morning, all them fish is 3 to 4 foot deep. And I was going around boats catching them, just going around them. They wasn't even catching fish. Later on that day, they started catching fish, but them fish dropped. Sun come out, and them fish drop down. And so I had to slow down to be able to remain catching them. And crappie's weird like that. Like today, I seen a lot of crappie pinning themselves to the bottom, and I think where we was at in that particular creek, that's just what the weather done to them, and it pinned them. I seen a lot of fish just dive to the bottom and stay there. And when they get like that, they tough to catch.
If you see them dive down like that on the live scope or on your electronics,
they won't let you drive over them.
They don't want nothing to do with it. How about that? So once we've kind of touched on the summertime fishing. So I'm just kind of going through the seasons here, just kind of hitting the high spots. Let's say you start getting into fall. For the guys, like by the time fall comes in, I'm typically the fishing rods are up and I've got
you got deer mode.
I'm back in the deer mode, and all that. But for the guys that like to stay in at that time of the year, do they come back up shallow again as that water starts cooling down? Or
as that water cools down, it gets down to like 70 degrees. Of course, crappie go anywhere, but I typically see them in 10 foot or better.
Okay.
I don't see very many out past 25 foot. They'll basically all be in that 20 foot range or less, 25 or less. Now, I'm sure there's some people argue with me. There's probably some fish out on timber that stay there. But typically, what I see them deep water fish in Clarksville, they don't like to bite. You're not going to just catch a bunch of them. Now, they there, you'll catch some. But I don't know. Because I do it so much, I try to stay in that 20 foot or less range.
I got you. So a lot of the place you'd find them during the summer, they're still kind of in that same range in the fall.
Yeah, they'll push in and out of that creek. That water starts to cool off a little much. They'll come out of the creek, like where they may have been in 10 foot of water for a couple months. All of a sudden, that water temperature start creeping down. They know they'll get out there. Like I got one place I love to fish. It's right on a drop, and it's in 20 foot of water. And them fish will be suspended 14, 15 foot down, and they'll stay on that piece of timber till they come off of it in mid-December.
Now, when you say timber, are you talking about some of the standing timber that's out there? Or are you talking about brush?
Some big trees we've drug in and stuff.
Okay, so brush. Because I know when I think of timber at the lake, I think of, there's obviously sections of the lake where there's still standing timber. Do the crappie ever get in that stuff?
A lot of that place out there now that, like, let's say take Georgia Little River, for instance, down through Amity. Most of that stuff is fell over. Of course, there's some trees sticking out of the water right now, but they probably ain't 24 of them just sticking straight up.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of it's fell over. So in reality, the crappie fishermen that come fish Clarks Hill, if everybody would put in a few brush piles every year, it would help our crappie because the natural timber is falling down.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that lake was made... What was that like? Was it the 50s?
It's like almost 80 years ago now. I think I seen something 75 years ago.
I know it's I need to fact check myself on that.
I think it was 1938.
Oh, is it that long ago?
I think that's when they started it.
Okay. Yeah, I know it's getting pretty old, so a lot of that timber is getting dilapidated. I still see striper around some of those trees up there.
Oh yeah.
Especially when you start moving up a little bit further north in the lake.
Yeah, when you get above 378, above Hickory Knob up there, anything on the Carolina side of the channel, you got to be real careful, especially now you go, there's a forest sticking out of the water.
Oh, I know. It's scary.
If you ever been up there skiing on that side of the lake, now you start to wonder why you was over there skiing.
Yeah. And it's like that all the way up. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then there, obviously, like you said, there's some trees around that Amity area back there too.
Yeah, there's a good many still. Like we call it the Twin Pockets area, right behind Red Bank Island. You know, you can go out there right now, and there's a little line of them. There's probably about 7, 8, 10 of them sticking out of water, and you got 2 right there at the fishing tractor buoy. Everybody knows where that's at, right there in Georgia Little River. There's about 3 sticking up right there, but you know, there's not a lot of that anymore. And there's a few. Well, if you go into Big Creek, there's a good many down Big Creek, but none of them really stick up. The water had to get down 9, 10 foot.
Yeah, for them to.
But we don't have near what we used to.
Right. I guess just over the time, stuff's just kind of deteriorated naturally.
Well, if you get in Big Creek in front of the campground out there and you run side scan in it, you can see all the trees that's fell over.
Right.
I mean, and now even the limbs on them has fell over. So it's just remnants. It ain't really trees no more.
So with your amount of time, I'm going to swap gears here just a minute from the seasons. From your time that you fished out there, you know, there used to be a lot of hydrilla grass in the lake.
Yeah.
You know that. Has the crappie fishing, I know the bass fishing guys hate it that the grass is gone now. At least most of them that I've talked to. I'm not a big largemouth guy anymore, but a lot of those guys hate it. They say the fishing's gone downhill since the grass. Does that relate to crappie as well, or do you think it does?
Yeah.
So do you think it's gone downhill as well?
I don't think it's hurt the crappie fishing that much, but it didn't give them as many places to spawn because them fish could go hide in that hydrilla. Anytime you got hydrilla and eelgrass in a lake, you're helping it some. Now, you don't want eelgrass to take over a lake, but think about all the bass that can get hit by birds and the crappie. Them ospreys, man, we got piles of ospreys and eagles.
Oh, yeah. I
mean, they can work on them, but that's their job too. I mean, they got to live, but you know, just like you take all that hydrilla and all your bait fish, they ain't got nowhere to hide. I mean, the predator fish can eat them.
Yeah. So do you think that that's where like some of those brush piles are coming in handy?
Yeah, a lot of brush piles are helping with that because we're seeing a lot of baby fish in them. Like certain times of year, you go in there and there may be 200 baby bass or baby spot bass on there. You have to get out of there. They'll eat your minnows up.
Really?
Yeah, it's, you know, all the little baby bass and all are piling up around that. And of course, we don't want to kill the little bass, even though they are spots. You know, people still love to catch them. So I'll just move because I don't want to be sitting there dealing with them anyway.
So you brought up about the spotted bass. I know spotted bass in the grand scheme of things are a relatively newer thing at Clarks Hill, and I know they've gone crazy. I mean, even if you're pulling herring around for striper, sometimes you can't get away from them. It's wild how many are out there. Do you think that's affecting the crappie population at all? Like, because those little spotted bass seem like ferocious. So when these little, like when
I wouldn't know that. I'm not a biologist. I don't know if they affect it or not. But, you know, everything in that water is a predator.
Right.
I mean, my baby crappie swam by a blue brim, he's gone. I mean, a shell cracker. I mean, even though he eats mussels and shells, he's an opportunist too. I mean, everything predators on each other out there.
Right.
You know, if a baby bass swims by a 2-pound crappie, guess what happens to him?
He's going to get eaten.
Oh, yeah. I had a lady on the boat one day said, "You ain't fishing bait with them minnows, are you?" I said, "Yeah, it's vicious under that water down there, buddy."
I'm sure some of those crappie meet their demise to a big flathead around some of them brush piles.
Oh, there's plenty of them out there.
Yeah. I imagine so. There's some big flatheads in that lake. I know I've grabbed a lot of them over the years. When I was a little bit younger, I used to noodle a lot, and we'd catch a bunch of them. And it's pretty wild how big some of those catfish are in that lake.
Me and the wife and boys out there one day pulling planer boars for stripers, and I made a hard turn. And the inside rod, of course, you know, drops down to the bottom. And whenever the boat straightened up, that rod just bent around like I was hung on a tree, but it wasn't a tree. It took off. It was a 65-pound flathead.
65 pounds.
Yeah, I got pictures of it. That thing's tall as I am.
That's wild.
But that ain't nothing now. There's a boy right over here that lives at Raysville a couple of years ago. He caught a 65. I think it was 65. Might have been 70-pound flathead on a daggum crappie rod.
I feel like I remember that.
He chased that thing around. They said, I'd like to got to seen that.
I feel like I saw that on GON or something. Somebody shared that. I remember seeing somebody catching a ridiculous sized catfish on a crappie rod.
I want to say he made a lake record or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, I remember that story it vaguely, but I do remember it. Yeah.
I know the boy lives up at Raysville. They was it caught him in Germany.
Oh, no kidding. Germany Creek. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've caught a couple of them up there. One of the bigger ones I've caught up there, like on rod and reel, was on a spinnerbait, of all things. I caught one
Man,
on a spinnerbait one
A
time.
flathead's opportunist, Robert. They
Yeah.
don't care.
Yeah.
I caught one on a crappie jig the other day with customers.
Did you?
About 8.5, 9 pound flathead.
Oh, that's a good eating critter right there.
Hey,
About that
boy,
size.
we thought we had a striper on. I told him, I said, try to get him. I don't think you're going to get that striper. When it popped up, I was surprised. It's flathead.
How about that?
Yeah.
So we've talked about electronics a little bit, and I want to get your opinion. Live scope seems to be a hot topic, more so on the bass fishing side of things. You know, it seems like guys either are all for it. A lot of the older guys are all against it for the tournament side of things. On the flip side of that, for crappie, I've heard people say, oh, well, it's going to kill every crappie in the lake because you can chase those crappie down and they can't, you know, you can get right up on them and the crappie don't stand a chance. Every crappie's going to get fished out. They want the limits lowered. And if they say if live scope's going to be around, we need lower limits. We need bigger, size limits. So in other words, if you could keep put size limits on them and put more numbered limits on them, how do you feel about that?
Well, it's definitely, it's probably put some pressure on the fish, but you can't make a fish bite.
Right.
It don't matter what you put on that boat. And yeah, there's some guys out there can use live scope and they can feel the box. Sean Maccabee, Scooter Byers, Derek Fulton. There's some boys on the lake out there. They good with it. But the other ones are not so good with it. And I'm not trying to take it. There might be another guy I can't mention or whatever. I'm not trying to say them threes,
No, I
better
understand.
than everybody else. But there's a lot of them that's put live scope on their boat who struggle with it. And that's, of course, that's the grand scheme of learning things with live scope. But to me, I think live scopes help crappie fishing.
Okay.
Because it's brought a lot more people to the sport. I mean, I'm seeing people crappie fish now that's never crappie fished before or getting into it because now they feel like they can go out and catch a box of fish. Well, that's good for the sport. That's good for us getting out on the water and people enjoying themselves.
Right.
Now, what's frustrating for them is when they get the damn thing and it don't make them a crappie fisherman.
I heard that.
Because I can give you a bow and I can give you a deer stand. That don't make you a deer hunter.
You're right. I mean, hey, I'm not ashamed to say it. I told you before we started this, I haven't targeted crappie specifically at the lake. I never have, but I do target striper a lot up there.
Yeah.
And I have that live scope. It's great. And it has helped me, and I'm getting better with it, and I've learned it. But it is not a end-all, be-all. It's not a guarantee you're going to go out there and fill up a box full of fish because you've got that. And a lot of times you'll see them, and it makes you more damn frustrated because you know they're there and you can't get them to bite.
Well, I kind of answered this question the other day. Well, it's been back in January. There was a guy complaining about live scope on Facebook. Of course, Facebook's full of keyboard warriors.
Oh, yeah.
These guys know everything about fishing, but the guy said they shouldn't allow live scope on the lake and this and that. And I'm like, well, when you turn that thing on in the morning, what does it tell you, Rob?
Tells you if the fish is there, if he ain't.
What else it tell you?
What, the live scope? I mean, it'll show you brush. It'll show you, I don't know.
It don't tell you nothing but that.
Nothing
It don't
but
tell
that.
you where to go. It don't tell you what bait to use.
You're right about
It don't
that.
tell you what daggum depth to be in. It don't tell you what them fish gonna bite that day. It don't tell you what kind of mood they in. It sure don't tell you how crappie move. It's just a tool. And you got to be as good as that fish to find him and make him bite.
Right.
So I have mixed emotions about that whole live scope thing because people probably said it about the daggum trolling motor now that we got.
Right.
And then they probably said it about side scan, down scan. There's always going to be a complainer.
Right.
Um,
It's the same thing. You used deer hunting as an analogy a minute ago. You talk about longbows versus a compound.
Oh yeah,
versus,
that argument's a million years old.
Yeah, versus a crossbow versus a 30-06. I mean, where does it stop?
You know, I'm a diehard bow hunter. I mean, that's something I just love to do. I have no problem with a gun hunting. My wife loves to gun hunt. My boy, he used to gun hunt a good bit. I have no problem with the gun. And you'll hear people say, "Oh, well, the gun hunters are ruining hunting." Well, man, we was gun hunting when the bows was junk.
Right.
It didn't run deer hunting then.
Right.
I mean, what's everybody's favorite rifle? 30-06.
Right. Yeah.
Growing up, everybody had one. So, you know, they're going to say the same thing about electronics. Well, if you're going to get that technical, why we got boats? Why don't we just get rid of all the boats?
Right.
Because the boats is making fishing bad. You know, there's always somebody going to complain, and everybody knows everything about something. You know?
And I understand you're not a biologist, But from your standpoint, I mean, live scope, I guess, is still relatively young in the game, but it's not like it just came out this year. You don't think it's just decimating the crappie population on Clarks Hill Lake?
No, because I can carry you out there in the winter. I could carry you out there any day this week, and we'll fill my boat up. It holds 100 gallons, and we can ride to every creek, and I will show you literally thousands upon thousands of crappie. So, and this is what I'll tell you. If you think live scope's going to empty the lake, you're foolish. Because since these trolling motors come out you can troll with, we've been trolling these creeks with 12 and 14, 18, 20 rods on the back of these boats, and these fish are still here.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
our granddaddies and our great granddaddies and our daddies has been catching these fish off this lake for 40 and 50 years, and all these lakes around.
Right.
And these fish are still here.
They're still there.
And you take a lake like Clarks Hill, it's a monster. It's 1,300 something miles of shoreline, 72,000 acres and some change. We can't catch all the fish out there. If they can't catch them out of Lake Oconee and Lake St. Clair, they ain't no way we can catch them out of Clarks Hill.
No, yeah, people don't realize how big. Well, everybody around here does that's been on it. People don't realize how big that lake is till you get on it, and you can if you try to ride from one end, like up around Amity, and I know it goes up on past that, but if you try to ride from Amity, just say up to Russell Dam, if you was running 50 miles an hour, it's going to take you a long time to get there.
Georgia Little River's bigger than Lake Oconee.
Georgia Little River is bigger than Lake Oconee, and that's the smaller arm of the lake, of our lake. Right.
Yep. And then, so if you go from the bottom dam to the top dam, that's 45 solid miles going straight north.
Yeah.
And then we got creeks, just 10, 12 miles off of that.
Oh, yeah. And then all the little sub creeks off of that.
If you go off South Carolina Little River, you're looking at 15, 18 miles up it. I was just up it today. I mean, you just got so many creeks and crevices to go. You'll never catch all the crappie out of it.
Right. And if you think you've caught them all, you probably just don't know where they're at.
Well, I try to educate a few people on Facebook when these crappie spawn. Let's just take, for instance, simple math. They take 1,000 crappie, and they're dumping anywhere between 40 and 140,000 eggs per fish.
Per fish.
Per fish. How many millions is that?
That's a lot.
It's a lot of daggum fish. Now, of course, we know a lot of them get 8. Just say the survival rate's 20%, 10%. I don't know. I'm not a biologist. But I have talked to a biologist at the boat ramp, and he said everywhere he puts his prods in the water, crappie come up. So
right.
He said you can't catch them all.
Right.
But you take all the shoreline lake, which I just told you is around 1,300 miles of shoreline, and there's fish going to the bank everywhere. It just ain't one or two spots. Them fish are spawning all up and down these corners and coves and everywhere they can get to. Main part of the lake, like you go in Georgia Flats, they all in the back of there spawning. That's a lot of fish.
That's a lot of acres of fish right there.
That's a lot of acres of fish.
That's a lot.
That ain't a couple million, Robbie. That's trillions.
That's a lot of acres of fish.
I don't think my calculator get that high.
I know my Richmond County high school math ain't going that high. I can tell you that, brother.
I don't think my math from Florida gets that high either, buddy. It don't get there.
All right, so well, that answers my question about live scope, and I agree with you for the record. I think even on the bass fishing side, I'm going to catch hell for this. I know, even from some buddies of mine, but I always my thought process on that live scope deal is it's a tool like anything else, and even when it comes to the tournament fishing, if everybody's allowed to have the same tool, you either need to get better at it or find something different to do. But that's my opinion.
Okay, so I got an opinion on that. And I'm not a bass fisherman. I'll have no game in the sport. I mean, and I'm not trying to dog our bass fishing counterparts. But they never keep a damn fish.
That's why I quit fishing.
How the hell, Robbie, is it decimating the damn bass population? Bass fishermen in the world's worst. They need to throw it back. Damn, eat some of them.
You would think after a while, they tell you need to keep some. It's just like a pond. If you don't keep, I can take you to a pond right down the street right here that there's a million crappie in it that are all about 10, 11 inches long, and it don't matter. You can catch 200 or 300 of them. I've done it, and they're all going to be identical size. And I think there's too many of them in there. Well, if they really want to get these bass bigger, hell, they probably need to be keeping some of these smaller ones.
I would think so, because 90% of you bass fishermen, and correct me if I'm wrong, not less crap's changed over the years, but bass fishermen are huge on throwing them back.
Absolutely.
Throwing them back. Man, I can tell you right now, buddy, when we bass fish, we ain't throw none back. Them
They
jokers
were-
went in the cooler.
Yeah.
My granddaddy tell you he support catching filet.
Catch a fillet. Yeah. Not catching the grease, catching it going to grease.
He was going to fillet them jokers out. We used to fish a little old lake down the road from the house. And I know it wasn't strictly legal, but we'd go over there. We didn't care how many we caught of them things. It was in the back of an orange grove. We'd catch 40 or 50 of them. He'd carry them to the house and fillet them.
They's coming out.
They's coming out.
But that was back when he was fishing for food, though, you know?
Oh,
So,
yeah.
I mean,
he come up in a different era, man. We filled freezers slap full of, crappie and shell crackers. And then we didn't deer hunt for horns. We deer hunted for hair.
right,
And
right,
we filled freezers up
right.
because he come out of that depression era. So my
Right.
granddad was all about, what was for supper.
Right.
Yeah.
So now, just before I let you go, let's talk just a minute or two about stripers here. I know that I know that most of your fishing trips now are crappie, but you told me before, if I'm thinking correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you said you used to do more striper fish than striper trips.
It was more striper trips to start with. And then it just transferred over to crappie because people figured out I could catch crappie and it went there. But yeah, we're pretty good at catching them too.
Pretty good at catching them too. So see, that's striking a good nerve with me because that's what I like to do. So I know, like coming up here, those fish are going to do like their fake spawn. Do you kind of feel like that they're going to try to do that about the same time that the crappie do?
They're going to do that right around April.
Right around April.
It all to dictate the herring spawn.
Right.
So when them herring spawn go to them clay points, it's a no-brainer. And then most people don't understand how to fish for them. We do what we call throw-out bite. So we'll take spinning reels with like 15, 18-pound test, and we'll put a slip lead on it, about a 1 ounce slip lead and a swivel, and put about a 3 or 4 foot fluorocarbon leader.
Okay.
And then most of us run like a 2-aught octopus hook.
Right.
Or a 1-aught, whatever your flavor is. I've kind of switched over to a VMC drop shot hook, which is more of a live bait hook. I think I get a better hookup ratio. Of course, it could be in my head anyway. But anyway, we'll pull up out there in about 8 foot of water and we cast to the bank. And them stripers and hybrids will be up there in 1-2 foot of water.
Okay.
And when we'll bait them herring in the tail. We'll throw him up there on the bank. And if they there, you'll know in 2 seconds. Of course, I got electronics on the boat, live scope, and I got the Humminbird Mega Live 2, which is to me more superior than the Garmin, and I can see them fish when landscape mode's swimming up there.
Okay.
And you can they'll be looking like little maggots in the water up there, and you can just throw up in there. But a lot of them clay points on the Carolina side and the Georgia side, when that herring spawn starts, it's a no-brainer.
And isn't that about when the water temperature hits like 60? What is it?
It always starts in April.
It doesn't really matter what
It's going to be that 65-degree range. When them herring decide to go, them stripes is going to be there. And it's going to be the April full moon, and it's going to be the May full moon. And it possibly also could be June they go to the bank.
Really? So they'll do it like 2 months in a row.
Yep. And then them stripers, a lot of people don't know, but in the summer, we catch them stripers for daylight in 5 and 6 foot of water.
Right. Yeah, I've noticed that when I go fishing, like let's just say you put in at Wildwood, for instance, and you head out and right there at the mouth of Savannah River and where Little
That's
River
right.
meet, just kind of
Monkey Island, all
that kind of
yeah.
area right out in there. If you're out there, if you're coming in, let's say about daybreak, most of the guides or outfits that I see, they're pulling out already.
Yeah, because you just missed fish bite.
You just missed it.
Yeah, because I'm gonna tell you, and I've been doing it a while, and it's a really eye opener. And if you show up late to a guide trip with us, we start getting antsy because we know you ain't finna catch your fish.
Your bite's about
because when that sun comes over them trees, that bite's gone.
Done.
Now you gotta go hunt them, and that summertime bite is a butthole. Because when they come off them points in that shallow water, sometimes they just go in the hide and you can't hardly find them.
Right.
They'll go back out there in that deep water, go back in the trees, wherever they come from. And now you got to go hunt some dinks to finish off your day. Or if they got the auction line going, sometimes you can go out there and bang a few off the auction line.
Jesus Christ, there'll be 50 boats up there if you go up there
there's
on
Saturday
a
or
weekend.
Sunday. And then if there's all them boats there, the stripers don't like it no way. So you got to go from there anyway.
Right.
But sometimes you go up around Fishing Village, you get some of them creeks where them fish ain't pressured, and you can catch a few there too. But yeah, that summertime bite, You really like it'll start about mid-June to July. You need to be out there at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. And if you pull up on a hump or a point and you drop down and you ain't caught a fish in about 5 minutes, you need to go to the next one.
You better move.
You got to move because they ain't there.
I got you. Yeah, it seems like if you can find them that time, they're a little bit more willing to bite most of the time if your bait's good. I've learned one thing about striper fishing is, especially that time of the year, that herring better be freaking lively, buddy.
Well, that's a mistake that, you know, that and I'll tell everybody out there that all you guys that are cheap on bait, you're not going to catch herring. You're not going to catch stripers because we got a 30-second rule on our boat in the summer. 30 seconds to a minute, you reel it up, we change it.
Really?
Yeah, so like if 4 people come with me, I get a minimal 10 dozen.
I got you.
Because I'm fixing to go through them.
Yeah.
Like I like this year, man, we got out there in the dark. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I got 10 dozen bait. I almost run out to catch 40 fish because by the time you drop it down, if he's not on there, he's hit it and killed it. So you know, you drop down, Robbie, and the time it hits the bottom, if you ain't got a fish on, he's already killed it. And we're sitting in 10 foot of water. And a lot of people will drop their bait down. The fish will kill it. They'll still try to fish that dead bait. Them stripers, they're going to hit a catfish mine.
Right.
That striper's like, I'm good, buddy. You drop a live bait down there, he'll knock the fire out of it.
Right. And even I know that. I've learned that. And I'm not changing them as much as you are, and I don't care. I probably shouldn't be like this, but I don't really care what the bait costs. I'm there to catch a fish. If I'm going to wake up that early and get up
that's
there,
right.
I ain't going to let another $20, $30 stand between me and that fish.
That's right. So if you can go fishing, man, you know, get you a few extra dozen and,
right.
and you know, say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go through these bait this time. Another thing we do, man, out there a lot of times we chum. A lot of people don't know, man, we cut them old herring up and we can keep them fish worked up on you. They like little sharks. Where you put that blood in the water, they coming.
Okay, so you'll take like your dead baits, like
I don't never throw the dead bait over. I'm always cutting it up in little bitty pieces, and I'll water it up and throw it. Like if there's a little current, I'll throw it ahead of the boat, let it go under the boat, and then fish will come right back in there.
Okay.
A lot of times when you fillet one, he'll be slap full of that chum.
How about that?
Yeah, and then in the summertime like that, like July and August like that, them herons gonna go shallow at night to feed.
Okay.
So they could be on a 10-foot, 20-foot hump out there against 100 foot of water. You pull in there, that's what I'm saying. You pull in there and you ain't caught a fish in 4 or 5 minutes, you got to go.
Yeah.
And we learned that from the Sassers. Brad Sasser's probably one of the best shallow water striper fishermen on the lake.
I bought some herring from him the other day.
I'm going to just tell you, and I've called Brad and talked to him, and if he ever listens to this, he'll know I'm telling the truth, because I called him one day and said, Brad, you're a master of that crap. And him and his daddy figured that crap out, you know, guiding for stripers. And you know, we watched Brad, man. You got to Brad be going to the dock. You're like, damn, he done early. Brad done figured out. You pull right up there with the daggum boat motor bumping the bottom. He's whacking them. And it took me a little while, but that shallow water fishing is where it's at in the summer.
But you got to be there early. And by early, in the dark.
Yeah, but you know, there's a timing thing for that, because we have been there like at 4 o'clock. And you don't get a bite about 4:30, and we know them fish is there, so we're not going to leave. And all of a sudden, here they come. So what I said a while ago, might need to leave, but if you know them fish is there, you caught them there yesterday, they're going to be there again tomorrow, hopefully. So sometimes you give them 15 minutes, because I haven't seen them bite from 5 to 6:30. Then I have seen them bite from 3:30 to 6. You don't ever know with them daggum things, you know. But there's going to be a school down through there when you pull up, he'll eat.
It does seem like, and obviously you've got way more experience and more time on the water than I do, but it seems like with the striper that time of the year, if you can figure out a pattern that they're on, even for a guy that can't go every day, it's a little bit easier to go and catch them, because if you can find them now, as long as the conditions don't change a whole lot, they kind of become a creature of habit, it seems. Yeah,
just like in the summertime, a lot of people don't know, and but you can go up there to the upper dam about 2 o'clock in the day and catch a box of fish.
Right.
Let them start running that water. Just go up there you get about 300 yards from the daggum, right there at the willow bushes at the lower dam.
Right.
And just put your herring down, rodding them, throw you out a couple free lines of drift with the current, and you can go fill your box up.
Right.
Because they in that cool water coming out of Russell.
Right.
But don't go up there in the morning. If they ain't running that water in the morning, you get your butt handed to me. Ask me how I know.
Ask you how you know.
Yeah, them fish will leave from there. They don't like that hot water.
Right.
But you go over every day. I've had customers show up at that upper boat ramp. I get bait at Jody's. I go up there about 2 o'clock today and level the cooler. I'll be done 4 o'clock, headed to the house.
Right.
I done caught 40 or 50.
Right.
But that water's got to be moving.
Right.
That's just like there's a couple points down in the middle part of the lake It'll take to about 2 o'clock for that water to get down there. And once that current, what they'll do is they'll put water in, and they're also making power at the bottom. So there's a couple islands down there that water pools around, and when it starts pulling, them stripers will gang up. There'll be a school there 100 foot long. But you got to be on the downward side of that island.
I got you.
And you can absolute blister them fish.
Gotcha.
But when that water quits running, they gone.
Light switch.
Light switch. You can just leave.
Back to deep water somewhere.
I don't know where they go.
Some mythical box down there they hang out.
They got some hole they go in. They'll just disappear on you.
Ooh, and there's nothing a bass fisherman hates more than a striped bass, I've learned. Jeez, boy, them guys hate them.
Man, I had a pro one day at the boat ramp tell me, he said, I wish you'd catch them all. He said, I can't catch a largemouth to save my life.
Dude, they hate them, man. I mean, and I've got a few buddies of mine that bass fish a lot, and they know I don't care anything about it. And they all tournament fish and all that. And they'll call me sometimes or shoot me a text. Hey man, they're out here on this point. I can't get away from them. You need to come up here and catch them all. And so I'm like, all right, you know. Yeah,
we'll get reports every now and then from a few of our bass buddies. Say, hey, them things up shallow, man. And we'll know they own them points because they'll be aggravated with them. And what gets me is all the big largemouth that I catch on the lake are usually out in 20, 30, 40 foot of water.
Right.
And so everybody's casting at the bank. I'm going, well, I don't know why y'all are up there because these big bass chase these herring.
Well, yeah, and I think that's changing that live scope. You see those guys out, especially in the summertime, you'll see them out in the middle of the lake and they're just sitting there looking at that screen, you know, going around chasing them out. But we caught 2 or 3 pretty nice largemouth. We went striper fishing Sunday. And we caught some. Everyone that we caught was trolling with herring, and most of them were actually caught on. I had 2 down rods out, and then I had a couple free lines out, and then a couple with some split shot on planer boards. I was covering it all.
That's
brother.
right.
I was like, we're gonna see if we can find something, and we caught some fish. What we were after, some striper and hybrids, but we did catch a few really nice bass, and all of those were on down rods, and every one of those was about 20 foot deep.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people say. You know that I think it was a junior high. It might have been the high school bass tournament. It was on Clarks Hill this year, the national championship.
Right.
It was won in front of the dam in 100 foot of water.
No kidding.
Yeah. Man, look, I went down there to try to catch stripers. I couldn't even striper fish. There was 35, 40 bass boats.
No
might
kidding.
have been 50.
Everybody was down there.
Every one of them kids is out there slinging at them bass. They was all about 5 to 6 foot deep under the water.
Just following them herring around out there.
I guess all the largemouths out there, because you can go to that auction line in the summer. You'll catch 8, 10 pound bass off that auction line.
Right.
Yeah, they out there.
Yeah, they're there.
They trying to get in that cool water too.
Just like everything else, and that oxygenated water out there.
That's right.
And I fished that oxygen line, and I've definitely caught some fish there. I just hate the everybody knows about it, so it's just like you can go up there on a weekday and it's not that bad. But
yeah, Monday through Thursday, if us guys are struggling to get a limit, we'll go out there and we can do pretty good. Sometimes we've been out there before daylight and we'll have our limit and gone.
Okay.
But as soon as you start getting 10, 12 boats on each one of them lines,
all them striper probably just
them stripers is like, I'm out of here. Because what everybody does out there is run their sonar. And all that pinging and dinging.
Those fish don't like it.
When I pull up there, I turn it all off.
And you just, because you know the fish are going to be somewhere
around
there.
The fish are there. I mean, I might leave live scope on because it don't affect them like that pinger does. But everyone down there's got their pinger running. It drives them fish crazy.
Yeah, you got 15 boats up there and they're all bouncing off.
That's right.
Yeah, I never thought about that. I'll remember that. I think I only fished it once or twice last year. I didn't really focus on that.
That's one of the places I chum the hardest.
Really? Chum the hardest.
I chum the hardest on the auction line. I'll be able to rip them out there some
Well,
days.
I'm telling you, you have convinced me to save all these herring because, hell, they're almost $1 a piece now anyway.
Well, I'll tell you another thing, too, man. If you get done with a trip, bring them home and blend them up. Get your old junk blender.
Right.
And just put them in you a gallon jug. Just pour them in it, put it in the freezer. When you go back, just cut the damn jug open, drop that chum block in there.
There you go. I never thought about it.
It ain't nothing but fish oil.
That's it.
I mean, that greasy slime will get on the water, and I've seen them fish on live scope get all in it.
Well, it just seems like those striper you can get them in a feeding frenzy. If you can get one of them to bite and get him hooked up and get excited, you can watch them on that live scope, and they're all just like attacking him. They're
on it.
So if you can get the other baits down there and keep one excited, it seems like you can do pretty good with
them. Yeah, they are daggone sure like a little shark because you get that oil and blood in the water, they can't stand it.
They're going to bite.
Oh, yeah. You can fire them up like that. See, there's a lot of times, and everybody, it's not a secret. We all got thumpers and splashers on our boat, and we attract them fish. But a lot of times it's another combination. We chumming hard. I mean, we cutting up We cutting up herring steadily.
So one last thing, you brought up the thumpers. I don't have one on my boat, but I have done take the cork rod and
That's right.
bump it down on that, especially on that boat foam. It seems it makes it a little bit different sound.
That's right.
But how do you feel about those things? I mean, does that actually work?
Yeah.
The thumpers? It does.
Yeah.
So it's just like a curiosity thing, you reckon?
Yeah, you just call Bobo out there in Texas and get you one. It's $350 or $300. It's the best thing you could buy.
No kidding.
Or you put a splasher on the boat with a trolling motor. You can actually take the prop and drill it and put you 1/2-inch cups, PVC caps on it, not cups, and bolt it on there with a lock nut, 1/4-inch bolt and a lock nut, and just flop the water. And I'm just telling you, you can go out yonder and sit out there all you want, and you ain't gonna catch no fish in them channels. As soon as you turn that thumper on, if them fish is there, and that sometimes we run a combination with the splasher, and here they come.
Really?
Yeah, because like this year in the winter, I was finding them on side scan, right? I go in, and I tell you, I was up and down Georgia Little River, and I go in them 80, 90-foot crack, corners and stuff, and I go through there with side scan, and I'd say, oh, there's 2, there's 1 or 2, and there's 3 down there. Well, that's not enough to fish for on a guide trip, right? Well, I'll pull up there and turn that thumper on and start chumming. Them fish can hear me from 100 yards away. Here they come. Next thing you know, I got 200-300 under the boat.
I wonder what it is about it. It's got
to be something with the vibration. I mean, we're sitting out in the river channel this year up by Fishing Village, right on the drop off where it's like, here's the trees. And I don't know if you've ever looked at the map, it drops off into like 70 foot. So up here's 50 foot out to the bank. And, we'll pull up there in the morning. We'll see bait and we'll see a few stripes in the water. I'll turn that thumper on in a few minutes. Man, they're just coming through. They may not bunch up, but you'll have 8 or 10 come through and they'll bang them baits and catch 2 or 3. A little while later, catch 2 or 3 more. Next thing you know, you got 40 in the boat.
Yeah, next thing you know, you got a box full.
That's right. And they'll all be big ones.
Well, with as much stuff as I've bought and put in that boat over the last few years, another $300 ain't nothing. So I'll have one here soon.
Well, I give you for examples over in Cherokee this year, and it's a big ditch over there, and I love to fish it in the winter because it's standing timber.
Okay.
And it's 80-foot long, tall trees. You actually got to hunt a place to fish in the middle of the trees. And I was easing down through there, and hummingbird make it live too. Boy, it's awesome for looking in them trees. It's a little bit better than my live scoop. And I'm looking down there, and I can see some fish hovering at the bottom. But I've probably seen 10 or 15 there in a couple 100 yards, right? And so I stopped, and we throwed out some chum. I turned that thumper on, and I don't know where them hybrids was at, where that school of fish was at, because I didn't see them when I went in there. But and I wish we had some pictures to show on here, and I could develop them or whatever. We can put them on here on your Facebook page or whatever. But I promise you 500-600 hybrids showed up.
No kidding.
And every one of them was 5-6 pounds
Woo,
piece.
big hybrids.
And look here, man, them rods was bowed up all the way around the boat.
God,
it went crazy.
If you don't like that when you sit there and they go, and this just.
Oh yeah, you look and you got a client. He's got a fish on here, and he's like, "Hey man, hurry up! You got another one on that front pole up there." And he's like, "Well, crap, what do I do?" And he's trying to reel 2 at one time. So, dude, you got to put one down.
Yeah,
you got to pick one.
I love it, man. I call it organized chaos. And
it is.
And sometimes I'll go striper fishing by myself in the summertime. I'm bad about if I can figure out a little bite or something like that, and I can work around a little bit.
Right.
I'm bad about slipping up there, and I'll go by myself.
That's right.
And I'll stop and get some herring and when you buy yourself, you probably really shouldn't have 4 rods out. But my theory on it is, if I can get into a school of them, I'll just get as many hooked up as I can, and we'll reel in
what
we got.
Robbie? I've put 8 and 10 out by myself.
Dude, I'm telling you, I love it. You had the one go off and circle hook, and you reel it down, and you see one over here, so you let that go, and you crank it down on that one, and all your rods are that. Man, there ain't nothing like it, dude.
Ain't nothing like it.
I love it, man.
So I give you a couple of the best trips I've ever done with stripers has been at the north end of the lake, and I love that shallow water bite because it's fast, furious, and the fish are ripping it. And it reminds me of catching salmon in the Kenai. When you hook one, he takes off. And so these guys show up one morning, and there's pictures of last year. You can look around April 9th or whatever on my Facebook page, and you can see it. They pull up that morning. They get a 100-quart cooler out. They got sandwiches. They got beer. They got the whole day planned. They've been fishing in Kansas with other guys.
Oh, they thinking they're going to be sitting there for the next 10 hours.
Yeah, they thinking they getting a 6 or 8 hour fishing trip, right? And the guy's like, hey, man, we want to catch these stripers. We don't care how long it takes. It's okay. They run in the dam. And we go up there in them willow trees, and then we know them fish is up there. And me and Daniel Skipper, one of the other guys, we kind of got some inside information them fish was there. I think one of the bass fishermen told us. We go up there, and I ain't lying to you. Now, that water ain't but 3 to 4 foot deep. And when I went in there, I had my live scope on. I said, oh, my God, the bottom's covered up with stripers. You could just see them coming in schools. Man, I got up there and sat, and just so happened the current turned the back of the boat to the willows. Perfect. Taking free lines. I just took one pole, bait it, I'd throw it out there, and when I handed you the rod, the fish will be on it. It's all I could do to keep 2 poles baited.
Oh, man, that's like one of those days you dream about.
It's like, I think we fished 44, 45 baits to catch 40 fish, because every time you threw it out there, Robbie, there's one on there.
And they was chewing that day.
It wasn't no doubt about it.
Wasn't that short striking going on?
Daniel filled his cooler up. I filled my cooler up, and we was gone. That guy said, dude, this is the fastest damn fishing trip I've ever been on. We was gone 50 minutes.
50 minutes.
50 minutes.
He's probably mad and happy all at the same time.
Yeah, because he said he was going back to Kansas, told him he'd been wasting his money with them people.
I think, I don't really have a lot of experience fishing other lakes for stripers, that is. But it seems like Clarks Hill is one hell of a striper fishery. Maybe not for as many big ones. I know there's big ones in there, but just for a pure numbers standpoint, it seems like you can catch the piss out of them in there.
Yeah, it's basically inundated with hybrids anymore. It's not a lot of giant fish. 7, 8 years ago out there, we catch a lot of big fish, but a lot of my buddies was just over at West Point, and they're bragging of how much better that lake is, of having 20-pounders, 30s, 40s.
Were they over there for that tournament?
They was for that big tournament, and they said, man, a 12-pound fish come up, they laugh at him. You catch 12-pound fish out here, you better get some pictures.
My buddy's dad actually won that tournament on Catch 22.
Oh, yeah, Terry Calder. Yeah, we know he is. Yeah,
so I hunt a little bit with his son.
You know how Terry caught that fish?
How?
Oh, I done heard the story. Old Terry got lucky.
How about that?
They pulled up, they got blowed out. All that water coming there from that big rain.
Uh-huh.
They said Terry pulled up there, he had a shad, 12 or 14-inch gator shad in a bucket. He said they pulled up somewhere they ain't fished for, and he threw the daggum thing out. While one of them was putting a trolling motor out, the damn fish took off, 35-pounder.
How about that?
Hey, luck's good, buddy.
Hey, brother.
If that wins you a tournament, get it.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
My buddy Tim that I went to Kansas with and all, and we guide together and hunt together a little bit. Tim, the first day, had 50 pounds.
50
He was
pounds.
in the lead. Yep.
First day.
The first day, 50 pounds of fish.
Woo.
Yeah, it takes a good number of pounds to win that thing.
Yeah.
But they say West Point's just such a great trophy lake.
Isn't Russell supposed to be a pretty good spot for big fish?
Yeah, big fish, man. There's so much timber in that lake, though, man. It's hard to turn them fish up there.
Yeah, well, I mean, you get a 50-pound or 40-pound, 30-pound, 20-pound striper on.
Hey, dude, I don't have a lot
gone.
of experience on Russell. That lake there is a little far for me to drive, so I don't go up there and fool with it too much. There's a pile of big crappie in there now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've gone a little over an hour now, so I'm gonna we'll probably wrap it up at that. I really appreciate you coming and sitting down and talking with me. It's been fun. It's been really fun, and it's been interesting learning some things that I need to go back and re-listen to this myself and write some stuff down for guys that live in this area or maybe would travel to this area that would want to go book a trip with you because they can't go catch those big boxes of crappie like you can. And hell, I'm one of them. I need to book one with you myself. But how can they get in touch with you?
It's reelingtimefishingcharters.com, or you can get on Facebook at Reel and Time Fishing Charters and look us up that way, or you can call me at 706-872-4336. Or shoot me a text, whatever you want to do. Now, if you call between 7 and 2 in the day, I'm not going to answer the phone. I'm working.
Right. So just so these guys know, Reel and Time, that is REEL.
Letter N.
Time.
Fishingcharters.com. And make sure you're looking at Clarks Hill, because somebody's got the same name on a couple different lakes.
Well, guys, I encourage y'all to give him a call. I'm sure his books are probably pretty full, but he may have an opening here or there. So y'all give him a call, send him a message. And I appreciate y'all listening to this, and we'll get back with you next time.
Thanks for having me, Robin.
Yes, sir. Thank you.